There is an indefinable, mysterious power that pervades everything. That power that can make a way out of no way.
Today, in the world, there's so much suffering because of that one of prayer.
Welcome, everybody, to the Prayer Revolution. So glad you're here. Glad that we are together on this beautiful Wednesday morning. This is your daily prayer podcast. My name is Doyal. I'm here with my good friend and co-host Vira, and all of our good friends on Zoom. Our dear beloved friend Bhakti, as well as all our other, and his Bhakti-yogi dog, who tunes in every morning live on Zoom. And we also have all our other good friends, Zoomers, and our crew on Facebook. We're streaming live on Facebook. And how you doing this morning, Veer? Always love seeing your smiling face.
And same. I'm kind of, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do at 9 a.m. every morning going forward too. I'm with you, Dr. Louis. We're in this together. Well, you know what? I was kind of laughing at myself a little bit this morning. How much I think about myself. It's so pathetic, in a loving and, like not like a shameful or, judgmental way, but I'm just like, oh my God. It's all I, me, mine all day long, and so just just noticing that. And last night I was Dan and I we were up a little bit later than we normally were, and Vera was asleep, and she was going in to go and sleep with him. I sleep in a separate room just right next to her, and I was like, I'm gonna go in there too and just kind of go and snuggle. And I went over and I just was seeing Vera sleeping so peacefully, just seeing him so trusting, so surrendered, just so like safe, and it was just, like the contrast of this being cared for, being taken care of, being given love, being nurtured, being given attention, and like what that does for my heart to see him happy, safe, content, connected, sleeping, in his little bliss bubble. And I'm, and that contrasted with how much I think about myself and how much I actually think that somehow or other that I'm going to be better off by doing that. And I'm going to be more fulfilled and more happy by thinking about myself all day long. And it's the exact opposite. The most happiness I experience is in serving others and, providing an experience like that of shelter for that little baby and whoever else, friends, family, whoever God brings into my life, that, like that's my life, that's where the fulfillment is. The more I'm becoming self-forgetful in a healthy way, and the more that I'm thinking of God and I'm thinking of others, and I'm just, that thoughtfulness, that is my action plan for the day, is like, how can I maximize thoughtfulness and gratitude and expression of service toward others? That's where the gold mine is. That's where the fulfillment and the real deep satisfaction of the heart that we're all seeking is. So, just laughing at myself a little bit, seeing how what a fool I am, and also, grateful, like, okay, wow, thank you, my Lord God. I don't want to be stuck in this endless loop of self-centeredness. It creeps in, it sneaks in and grabs a hold of my consciousness, and I don't want that to be the case. I want to lose myself in a healthy way and thought of God and thought of others. So
Don't feel bad, Veer. I'm thinking of you all day too.
Oh yeah, got those heart eyes, Doyal. Yeah, there you go. You got that emoji down. It took 100 days, but you got it.
Day 99. I knew I had to get it before day 100.
How about, yeah? So I was thinking just to pray on that a little bit, before we take it off to go too long into the conversation. Just to pray on, that idea and how we can yeah, we can become self-forgetful in the healthiest, most dynamic way. You know, not self-neglectful, you know, in an unhealthy way, but really that happiness is when our consciousness is completely absorbed in loving thoughts of God and others. So I'm going to do that, and I'm gonna get our
Our
little
sound going.
get some tunes going over here. So let's get everybody to, you can close your eyes and find that comfortable seat wherever you are right now. Just taking a pause in life. A beautiful pause. Letting your breath flow, nice deep inhales and nice deep exhales, and just noticing, what are you bringing into the space right now? What is your state of being? What emotions are you feeling? Underneath all of that, what are you seeking in your life? What is it that is more important to you than anything else? Bringing that intention into these moments to follow, into your day that follows. Bringing those qualities that you're thinking about right now, that you could live a richer life having more of them in your life. My dear Lord, please help me to take myself out of the center due to fear, due to conditioning. I'm afraid that if I take myself out of the center, somehow I will be forgotten. Somehow I won't be taken care of. Somehow I won't experience love and fulfillment. I'll be forgotten. I'll be neglected. Somehow or other, that deeply ingrained belief sits within the core of my heart. Taking my consciousness, taking my mind away from you, moment after moment after moment, gripping and holding on out of fear that I'll be forgotten. You're there with me always. You're there with us always. Please give me the strength. Give each of us the strength to take ourselves out of the center. To know that when we take ourselves out of the center and put you in the center of our life, by thinking of you, instead of the default being thinking of myself and what I can control and what's mine and what I can get out of life, to think about you, to think about how I can make a difference in this world, how I can be used in whatever way that may be in your service, to touch the hearts of the people around this world, to touch the hearts of the people that are right in my life right now. You've set it up perfectly. You've given me exactly the environment that I need to be able to take my love and service to the next level. That takes stepping out of the center. I don't want to be the center, my Lord. It's exhausting. I'm tired of thinking of myself always. Please help me to become selfless. Please help me to take care of myself in the most simple and basic ways, to nourish myself, to be responsible. And the rest of all of my energy, the rest of all of my thoughts, let that stream like a river to the sea. Let it flow toward you. Let it flow toward serving, loving, and uplifting those that you've brought into my life. That they can know, they can let go a little bit more in their life because you're in their hearts too. And that we can love and care for each other instead of trying to just fend for ourselves and think of ourselves, that we can all, as a society, as a world, think of each other. Think of the needs and the welfare of every other person that's around us. And that we know we can trust, we can let go a little bit more, knowing that you will always come into our life through the hands and the hearts of your loving devotees. Give us that strength and that courage to let go of that grip, to let go of the fear of needing to put ourselves in the center always. Let us experience the freedom. Let us experience the liberation, putting you in the center, serving others with all of our hearts and souls. Let our hearts be filled with that love, and let us share it generously, abundantly with every person we come into contact with. Call out your holy names. Let our consciousness wrap around these divine names. Let our hearts be yours today a little bit more than they were ever before. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Whew. I was transported.
Beam me up, Scotty.
Beam me up here. That's beautiful. First thing you said that was just like immediately struck me, drew me in, was that if I fear that if I'm not in the center, I'll be forgotten, be neglected. It was like, it's just this so much effort, like everyone's just kind of pushing their way into the center out of fear of being forgotten. And it's exhausting, just like you said. Tell me more. Where you're coming from? What's on your heart? What inspired your prayer?
Yeah, just just the honest, recognition that I'm so self-centered, and it's like I say again, like I don't feel like, oh my God, like I'm like beating myself up about. No, it's like that's just the reality. Like that's what it is. If I look at my mind and I look at my thoughts throughout the day, throughout my life, like so much is just centered around I, me, my pleasure, my pains, my suffering, my happiness, my hopes, my fears, just this constant preoccupation, and that I'm choosing that, I'm choosing that way of thinking, and it's rooted in fear. It's rooted in a lack of faith. It's rooted in that, and that there's an opportunity, and so really just seeing that and just recognizing that and just seeing, how much of my life, how much of it's been constructed, around this this constant need for my false ego to somehow be validated, to somehow be, okay. And it is exhausting. It becomes it's kind of like it gets old. It's like an old record that keeps looping, and there's so much more that's available. And so it's comes from experiencing joy from serving others, and it comes from suffering by being preoccupied with my false self, my mind, and false ego. And so that is just the honest assessment of the more I'm thinking about myself, it's it's a state of suffering. And the more that I'm taking care of the basic needs in my life, I'm taking care of myself. I'm not neglectful of food, water, shelter, duty. That's all. I take care of all of life's duties, and then I spend my time and my energy just really. Like I get these waves every now and then where I just am like, people's faces flash through my consciousness, and it's like I have to express something to them. It's like it could just be so random, someone I haven't connected with in years, and yeah, that's the heart expressing is fulfillment. And absolutely the heart receiving, no question about it, it's fulfillment. And what I have control over, what I actually have control over is I can express it. What comes back of its own accord, what comes back through other people's hearts that are feeling that, the same willingness and the same desire to express love, that's, not in our control. That's their journey. However, to be able to express love is always available. To be able to express service is always available. And so it comes from that. It really, a friend of mine we're talking this weekend, and he was like, yeah, what drives you? He was speaking quite esoterically. He's like, what drives you to seek God? And he was speaking it was quite esoteric, and I was appreciating it. It was beautiful sentiments, talking about, this relationship in the spiritual realm with God and selfless service. And it's like, what motivates you? Like, what inspires you? It was like, I don't want to suffer. I don't want to suffer. That's what motivates me. And I want to experience pleasure. That's what motivates me. Like, that's the honest, that's what it is, and it's not that, if I was to say, I want to experience selfless love for God. Okay, well, why do you want to experience that? Because I see people that are pursuing that seem to be having a good time in life. And so, yeah.
I tell a friend of mine, if I thought I can get away with material enjoyment, I'd go for it.
Right. Yeah.
It's just not there.
Yeah.
I thought serving myself was the key. It was just like, it's just not there, And so it's interesting because it's what you're describing is actually a form of selfishness, but it's just recognizing what is the self and what brings actual joy to the self. It's that, spirituality, the spiritual path is a sort of an elevated form. We call it self-realization or self-actualization or self-discovery, And so, I'm trying to serve myself, but I really have no idea what actually is good for me. I just don't know. I don't know what's good for me. I don't know what's good for you. And so, it's kind of like you go through history in like the 50s or the 40s or the 60s and then through the 70s, 80s, and it's like there's like foods. It's like, this is really good for you. And then wait a second, it's poison. Oh wait, now we think it's good for you. It's like, I had no idea. There's like these ads of like doctors smoking cigarettes in the 1950s, So my doctor recommends Marlboro, And it's like, people don't know what they were talking about.
Right.
And so it's like, we think certain things are good for you. Why? Because that's what we see other people doing. Well, it's like, who has really done, like, who are the spiritual doctors that I'm consulting to really understand what's good for me in life? And those spiritual scientists, like Srila Prabhupada wrote a book, or was compiled a book of his lectures and essays, The Science of Self-Realization. So spirituality is a science. And those spiritual scientists, those spiritual doctors are saying that, like, you're not meant to be in the center. It's not your dharma. Your dharma itself is not to be in the center. That if everyone's putting themselves in the center, just like rocks dropping in a water pond, it's going to create these ripples that just clash with each other. And so it's like, why do I have a problem with you? Because I think I'm in the center and you think you're in the center. You know what I mean? And so, but we create a common center. But the problem is, let's create a common center, me.
Yeah. Right. And then our
If,
whole universe is now
if
colliding with the other person
yeah,
who's in the center down, you know.
yeah, we have an egocentric model of the universe, and it's just thinking,
Mm,
if everybody just listened to me and did what I said, everything would be fine because we'd all have a common center.
mm-hmm,
And so, but the spiritual science and spiritual doctors saying like, no, and that even if everybody did that, you would not be happy because your nature is to serve. Like you were saying, those people that were coming flashing across you, there's this desire to serve and to express gratitude and love.
mm,
And so I think that, I'm tired of being selfish. I'm really tired of not knowing what it means to serve my real self and what makes me actually happy.
mm-hmm,
And that there is that elevated state of consciousness of my happiness comes from serving others. And even beyond that, what does it actually mean to serve others? Because if I don't know someone else's genuine spiritual nature, I might just be facilitating their material egocentric journey,
mm-hmm,
thinking that I'm serving them. But
mm-hmm,
really, I'm, you know what I mean? I'm actually just kind of, playing into their, ego misconceptions.
mm-hmm.
So I was just kind of related to all of that and thinking that it's really a beautiful elevated way to look at life.
Mm. Yeah, I'm appreciating it's amazing in spiritual life that all the qualities that we're seeking, right? And even selfishness. Imagine this, right? Selfishness, which gets such a bad rap, right? But selfishness, when it's, in the spiritual context, when it's selfishness and service to God and service to humanity, that I love service and I just want more service. There's this, vigor that's created from it. That actually there's a selfishness that can be selfless, and Bhakti-yoga. I think that yeah. So sharing like that selfless selfishness. My godfather you'd always say, yeah, be selfish to be selfless. Meaning give yourself time first. Sit down and meditate, eat good food. Take time to think about life. Like have that space, have that time, have that healthy selfishness so that you can be selfless. Like take care of yourself. Take that 20% of your time and energy and what you need to nourish and take care and support yourself, and give the rest to God and give the rest to humanity, and you will be fulfilled, right? And I love the analogy. I think in New York oftentimes where it's like literally imagine every person. Imagine if every person was the center of a universe. And they had their solar system and everything was spinning around them, right? And imagine, New York City, you got all these little universes like moving around for their individual desires, to put themselves in the center. And it's just like massive, like meteor showers in everyone's planets, like planets just smashing into each other all throughout New York City. And, however, we put ourselves in the center, such a beautiful analogy, put ourselves in the center, we're these rocks. If they're all coming right into the same centered point, they're creating this unified, synthesized ripple that has an effect on the environment, has this unified, synthesized effect on the environment. And putting ourselves in the center it's we've all tried that and try that at different times in our life, and it's an experiment. You're welcome to keep trying it if you'd like to.
Super close to making it work.
Right.
Super close
Yeah.
to
That's what
making
I was thinking too. And it all got flipped upside down when I saw Vira sleeping last night. I was like, oh yeah, life is about service to others. But that yeah, we've experienced it, and we can keep going on that experiment. Or it's really like a declaration. It's really like a declaration that when we're noticing that, oh my God, like all I'm doing is thinking about myself in different ways, this way or that way, all day long. Like it's just such a waste of life. It's such an immense waste of energy and time and effort. And it's driven by fear, right? It's driven by illusion. Ultimately, it's driven by a forgetfulness that we're these beautiful spirits, and God is with us. God is guiding our journey, and God's will is unfolding in a way to help us to continue to awaken. And that's that is right. Ultimately, that's the entire if we're to boil down the essence of spiritual life, it's that coming to that place of pure fearlessness, and a willingness, no matter what's happening in life, to see God's will unfolding and to surrender to that. That's the most elevated platform, that we can come to. So it's not going to happen overnight, but it's the filling of the gaps, that brings us closer and closer to that, and that experiment, that it works. It's just a powerful experiment to practice and to have the genuine realization of, have a genuine experience of. So.
Well, the kind of the final instruction that Krishna gives to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, where he says that, just abandon all dharmas and just surrender unto me. Just abandon all your, just the highest duty you can perform is surrendering to the higher power. And that in that state, he says, I will protect you from all dangers and don't fear. And I think that's the linchpin in the equation, recognizing that, back to the first thing you said in the prayer, that if I take myself out of otherwise it feels like I'm just jumping out of a plane without a parachute. You're telling me like I'm in this plane and you're just telling me to jump out with no parachute. It's scary, because this is all I know. This is I'm not, sometimes it's like I might be putting myself in the center because I'm selfish and I'm greedy and I don't care about others, etc. That's not always the case. Sometimes it's just like out of genuine self-preservation instinct to want to like take care of myself. Like, what's the alternative? You're asking me to just like cast myself into forgetfulness and be forgotten by the world and be devoid of love, etc. And so I think that second part of the equation of, trusting that taking myself out of that center and serving others it attracts the heart and the mind of God to us in a way that his love infuses us from within. And so rather than, it's like putting myself in the center pushes God out of my life. And pushing myself in the center is a way of trying to just like force and extract the validation and appreciation from others, which I'm never going to get. Why? Because they're trying to get the same thing from me. They're not looking to give it, they're looking to get it. We're all trying to put ourselves in the center and trying to extract it from other people. And we're not designed to give it. We're designed to give it to a greater, higher power who then disperses all of it to us from within. So by taking myself out of the center, I'm no longer trying to squeeze it out of you, but I'm trying to receive that infusement. Infusement's my new word. Infusing from within. And I think that's what Krishna's promise is to us. So I think that's hard. And so we do that in small increments. I love what a teacher of ours, Vaisheshika, he says often, celebrate the small victories. It's like, okay, I'm going to completely remove, I've been living for decades, putting myself at the center of life, and now I'm just going to completely turn it around. I'm just going to never think about myself ever again and just serve others. And then a week later, it's like you get resentful and tired and lonely, and we snap back the other way. But it's like, take a small step. What does a small step look like in that direction? Knowing that that's ultimately where I want to go.
Yeah, and when our intention and when the direction and intention is clear, like you're saying, okay, that there is this high goal, that we can start to, there are so many things. It's right. It's amazing, right? It's almost like life externally could, like, maybe there are some things that need a shift that are unhealthy parts of our lifestyle, but externally life could be the same, it could be the same. We could still be eating just as, the same things and sleeping and, still doing those things, still working the same job, whatever it may be. But, the inside, what's happening inside, it's like, oh, okay, yeah. Oh, I'm thinking about myself again. It's like, no, these are just habits. These are just things I do. Like what changes, like once we have a rhythm in our day-to-day life, like it's not like this crazy amount of thought that needs to go into it. It's actually pretty simple. And that we can start to, like Doyal is saying, we can start to, gradually, incrementally just fill those gaps more and more. remembrance of God, and let the cue of our self-centeredness, let that cue of think, oh, I'm thinking about myself. What am I going to do? What about my future? What about my partner? What about my happiness? What about this, that? What are this feeling? Like all those things that are constantly like the myriad of thought. Let those be cues. Say, Hare Krishna. Let those be cues to say, oh, my Lord, like, oh, like, gosh, like, let me just be with you for 2 milliseconds, like, and as those become the cues, and like Doyle said, and woo, and celebrate that, like, all right, whoa, I broke out of the broke out of the routine of self-centeredness for 2 milliseconds. Jump up and down and celebrate it, and keep on going and keep on doing that more and more and more. So
Well, thank you, Vera, for taking us out of the center for 2 milliseconds and more. You do it with us every day. Super grateful.
Well, I'm basically just revealing to you guys my own personal day-to-day homework. So I'll be tested today. God will give me plenty of opportunity as I'm speaking so much about it. Okay, all right. You're the mouthpiece, so you're up first. Here you go. So thank you guys. Thank you for letting me share my heart with you, and then also, I hope it's always something that's helpful for you guys too. It's my prayer and intention.
Super helpful, Vera. Love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for all our listeners and everybody out there participating. Love being with you guys. Tomorrow is our episode 100. It's our episode 100. We did it. We're getting there. And looking forward to that day with all of you guys. And in the meantime, keep praying. Keep striving to take yourself out of the center. Put a higher power in the center. I promise you, in the long run, you won't regret it. And we look forward to seeing you guys all tomorrow. Be well. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Doyle. Thank you, guys. Have a beautiful day.
Bye-bye.